Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time. This is the show from yesterday. I did not get to do my show last night. Gonna get to that explanation in a minute, but on that note, I wanted to actually talk to you guys about energy. So I hope that whenever and wherever you happen to be when you're listening to this show, that you are paying attention to the mass amounts of cosmic energy coming our way from various sources. Now, the bad news is I didn't get to do the show last night. And the good news is I am doing it from the third floor with the windows open overlooking the really beautiful river. I am looking at a rooster and his 4 hens. Lucky him. And and they're down by the river, the 4 black hens, and they've got just beautiful feathers. They're so shiny. They're like, actually there's 2 roosters. I just noticed one of them has a red comb. So maybe it's 2 couples. I think that's what it is. Well, I see this beautiful bantam rooster that I mentioned the other day. He's all red feathers on the top, and on the back he's like green and blue, and woo, beautiful rooster. And his little hen is with him, and then on the other side there's another rooster, a black rooster, with his black hen, and they're just shiny, and it's almost like magical looking at these creatures. They're just absolutely beautiful, shiny feathers. They're healthy. And a moment ago, 3 little birds. It's not on my doorstep, and they weren't really singing a sweet song. But I had my 3 little bird friends. They come around, and that's a man with 2 women. Women birds, I don't know, female birds, and a male. I guess that's technically the scientific, terminology, male and female. But the male bird had little red scruff around his shoulders. It looks like he had like a bit of a pimp shawl going on. I don't know. It was so like really fluffy and red, like copper red, and he has a black mohawk. These birds are like little sparrows, but they have mohawks. They're like the badasses of the sparrow world. And I had these 3 birds that came around, and they landed, and he was preening himself because the male of the species, right? In the animal kingdom, the male has to preen himself to show himself worthy for the females. And he had 2 interested females that fly around with him everywhere, and I've seen them before. So, of course, you can hear the factory sounds across the river, but I'm hoping that they will stop and you'll get to actually hear the river, because it is really lovely. I love this very much. I'm loving this view. It's absolutely beautiful. Maybe I'll try to put this on Instagram, actually. I will try to get some pictures later. So anyway, I hope that whenever and wherever you happen to be in this world, matrix, whatever you want to call it, that you are able to navigate your way through the heavy energies coming our way. Oh my God. this is what it feels like to be at the very end of an era, literally. The end of the 26,000 years is, well, today. It's today. Even though this show is supposed to be Wednesday's show, and I'm going to, treat it like it was Wednesday's show. The energies last night, I mean, we were bombarded with massive solar winds, in addition to the normal cosmic radiation. And I don't know what the hell that was, but last night, this happened to me last Wednesday too, if you guys recall, that I couldn't get to Wednesday's show. Even though I tried, I had this cosmic nap thing happen. Last night was a little different. My son and I sat down pretty early to watch our show like we do every night, just to kind of relax and hang out together. And we want to watch the show, and then usually we'll end up pausing it and talking about the show and the plot and the characters and how it relates to people we know or whatever. We have a conversation about it. And then we get back to the show and whatever. And lately, since we started and established the pattern of us falling asleep together on the couch, this house, there's something weird about this house that we've been noticing over the past month and 3 days that we've lived here, is that there's energetic patterns that get set up like that instantly. You do one thing one time and bada boom, bada bing, that is there forever. So we fell asleep once on the couch, and now every freaking time we're in that exact position on the couch, where he's sitting where he sat and I sat where I sat, now we're going to fall asleep, like within 5-10 minutes. It's so weird. The freaky patterns. And this house number is 16, which is a Tower card, which is all about busting patterns. So I knew that going in, and I also know that you can change the energy of a place you live in by simply drawing a number and taping it on the back of the door. So if on the front of the door it says 3 and you don't like that number and you want to make it 4 because you want to be more introverted, you just put 4 in the back of the door. If you don't like the number 4, you can put 4 ones, 1, 1, 1, 1. And so, 3 plus 4 ones, of course, equals 7. You can do it, in the way that you want the pattern to be set up and why. There's different magical reasons and numerological reasons that don't have to do with magic, although it feels like magic. But I have been able to change the energy of places by doing that. Or even buying a brass number and putting the brass number on the back of the door. I've had people like, wait, what? Why is that there? It's so confusing for people who don't know about magic, and they don't know about numerology, and they don't know anything about what numbers mean and how important it is in feng shui, as well as other systems, organizational systems of energy. It's just an energetic pattern. So anyway, I knew that going in that we're going to have patterns, and I don't know if this is a pattern, but I do feel like it is an energetic pattern coming from without, but affecting us within. We were bombarded by cosmic radiation, the solar winds as well as the cosmic coming in last week. It was, I don't know if you guys recall this, but it was like Wednesday and Thursday of last week, and then Saturday and Sunday, or maybe it's like Friday and Saturday. It's always been that way. Recently, the patterns of the sun belching out this solar wind, and when it hits, it's like it just knocks me the hell out. And so last night, we sat down to watch our show, and I started to doze off. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to fall for this damn pattern. I'm breaking it now. My son fell asleep in the middle of a sentence. And we were in a different part of the living room. We were just trying to, shake it up. I'm like, I don't want that to happen. He's like, I don't either. That's weird. We just keep falling asleep on the couch. It's weird. But it's a very comfortable couch. And the person who owns this place told me that she loved that couch so much and she took many, many naps with the dogs there. So, boom, pattern. Pattern established. You know, even a couple nights ago, my son let the dog in, Lobo, and then eventually Blackie came along, the other part wolf dog. So the wolf dogs came in and they slept on the floor, and he fell asleep on the couch. I think he slept on the couch all night. You know, it's like that is such a sleepy energy to that couch. I need to maybe smudge it or sage it or something to rust up the pattern, because it's kind of crazy how it's like an overwhelming, but I don't know if it's that or if the solar wind that got here. And I know it got here last night because I started to doze off, but I woke up within 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm done. And then my son and I, we talked for an hour. He fell asleep in the middle of a sentence, and I'm like, you know what, that's it, I'm gonna go upstairs. So I very, very quietly came up to the 3rd floor, and I was wide awake, and I felt great. And it was around midnight, so I was going to get it done by midnight California time, which is always my goal. And as I'm saying this, I'm 9 minutes away from being completely 12 minutes late. I mean, 12 hours late from beginning the show. I literally tried to do this like about 12 hours ago. So I sat on my bed, and I was wide awake, and I felt wonderful. And I got everything queued up, and I was getting ready to start the show, and the frickin' solar winds hit. And it knocked me the fuck out. And I fell asleep for about 2 hours, sitting up with my tablet in my hand, asleep sitting up. Like, who does that? I was asleep sitting up on my bed. What the hell? So I woke up and I'm like, oh, this is not going to do. You know what? I'm going to take another 20-minute nap. I'm going to set the alarm. Apparently, I snoozed it several times. I don't remember that at all. And I woke up, I kid you not, at 5:54. And I noticed that it said the alarm was ignored at 2:45 in the morning. And this was 5:54, right when I woke up, and I saw the 554. And I looked at that, and I looked at the time at that moment was 5:55 a.m. And all of a sudden, the locusts started outside. The loud, frickin' locust sound, it just pierces my frickin' soul. I feel like my cells are being shattered. It's so loud. It's so freaking creepy. I don't know what this sound is, and I asked God, is this to raise my vibration? And God said, no, it's a harbinger. And this is the second time that I woke up at 5:55 on the nose, and the locust started at 5:55, right when it changed to 5:55. And they keep it up for a couple minutes, I guess, and then all of a sudden they're gone. We don't hear them again at all. Now, who's to say that they're not coming around every single day and forever? But I feel like I would have noticed that, because I've seen movies where there's locusts. I've seen on YouTube where people are filming the locusts, and people are screaming and running in every direction because they're so scared of the freaking locusts. But these are not swarming. They're not eating everything in sight. I'm looking at a beautiful green, lush paradise of a river with trees and flowers and butterflies and dragonflies and birds, and it's absolutely charming, absolutely beautiful here. But what the hell is up with this freaking locust sound, right? It's weird that it woke me up at 5:55, and then God said it's a harbinger, and I'm like, well, 555 means great changes are coming. Go to your angel numbers app, you'll see what I mean. Doreen Virtue, freak as she is now, she did put out an amazing book called Angel Numbers. It's a little tiny pink book, very thick. It's like almost like 2 inches thick, and it has every number from 0 to 999 and what they mean. A little paragraph on what each number means when you see it as a repeating pattern in your environment, whether it's 111 or 555 or 132. There's certain numbers that repeat for a lot of people. So anyway, I've been getting a lot of messages of people asking me about this, like, Elena, what does it mean when you keep seeing the same numbers over and over and over and over again? And I'm like, it means you're having a spiritual awakening. It's your angels trying to nudge you and get your attention so that you understand the universe is here in your favor. The universe is always backing you. God is telling you, I am communicating with you. I am here to let you know that I'm telling you there's patterns in the environment. There's patterns in the universe. And I just saw 2 white butterflies fluttering by around each other and playing with each other. But they went to the left. Something to do with twin flames or relationships in the past. I don't know what that means, but that just happened. I love it during the day when I make the show because I get to see things in the environment as I'm speaking, and I'll tell you guys what I see. It's very, very odd. Okay, so I don't know what that means. Why is it going to the past? It seems like it should be going to the future, right? And usually I do see them going to the future. To the right. But in here comes another butterfly on its own going to the same direction. Now it went down to the river. And the sun is coming out. It's a beautiful sunny day here. Absolutely gorgeous. Really beautiful. I was out in the sun for about 10 minutes earlier. Mostly because the guys were in the house. Oh my God, you guys, I got 8 o'clock in the morning. 8:16 in the morning. No, it was actually 8:15 on the nose. I got it. I got the message at 8:16, 1 minute later. And the guy who's been helping me get the internet, he's been an advocate he helped us sell this, he helped the landladies sell us this, or rent us this house. He's kind of a go-between because he speaks English and Spanish, which is funny because the person who owns this house also speaks perfect English. She actually teaches English, and her mother taught English. So, they grew up with bilingual. So I don't know why. I guess she's too busy to sell it herself because she's also a chef. Cool person. But anyway, so this guy writes me at 8:15. He says, so the internet people, they're on their way right now to install internet. And I'm like, well, Monday they said it'd be 5 to 8 days. What's up with not setting a schedule or, letting me know in advance? My God. I guess I need to get out of bed and change clothes and brush my teeth immediately. And he's like, yeah, I guess you better. Wow, it was kind of a shock. 4 days. Less than 4 days. It was Monday afternoon. And first thing in the morning on, today, Thursday, which technically this is Wednesday's show, but I'm recording it on Thursday. I don't know what happened again last night. Like last week, I'm sure I was abducted. This week, I know I wasn't because I asked and the answer was no. But I guess we were bombarded with so much radiation or whatever it was, so much energy, that my spirit just said nope, and I left. And I dreamt of a place that I live in addition to where I live here. We are multidimensional people. We have many, 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 many different lifetimes that we're living right now. Once you start becoming aware of those lifetimes, everything, it changes the game for you. It's super, super freaky. But apparently, I live in a very beautiful countryside on a lake. And there's not really mountainous regions. It kind of looks like Minnesota, which makes sense because, land of 10,000 lakes. It's literally what's on their license plate. But I live around this little lake, and I know everybody in the community, and I think it might be a gated community. And I was showing somebody who's new, this young guy, he's in his 20s. He was going to rent from this lady, or at least wanted to come look, and I was showing him all around and showing him for hours. So while I'm sleeping, I'm in my spirit in this other lifetime. I think it's a parallel universe. And I'm showing him the lake, and I'm telling him the times for fishing, the best fishing holes. Old man, whatever, like old man Johnson lives over there. He's keeps to himself, but he's a very nice man. And over here you got this lady, she's a widow, and over there we got, and you know, the families. And I'm like showing him around this lake like I've lived there my whole adult life or something. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what the hell was that? Why do I keep dreaming about this lake that I live at in Minnesota? It's absolutely beautiful. It's like completely surrounded by nature. Even the road for where he was walking, it was a dirt road. You can drive on it, but we're walking on this little dirt lane. And it just felt absolutely pure, and it's like home. And I think in that story, in that line, timeline, I don't have children and I'm a widow. From a different man, not from, the man who divorced me and then made me kind of a divorced widow. I don't know, is that a thing? But he died 9 months after we divorced. If I had not gone through the divorce, then I would be a widow technically. So it's kind of, but the whole thing is very, very odd. I don't know what the hell happened last night, but it's like the energy comes and it's so powerful that I have to be elsewhere for it while my body is being affected. And I wake up the next day after this really deep, deep, deep sleep where my body is sleeping deeply and soundly. And I wake up and I'm like, woo, I feel great. 2 weeks in a row this happened. Which tells me that if this is a pattern, possibly next Wednesday when I do my show, I better damn well get it done while the sun is still up. Make hay while the sun shines, I suppose. It's the old country saying from the U.S. Make hay while the sun shines. This is just so weird, though. Why 2 weeks in a row this happened? So that's my explanation, for my not getting the show out on time. I've been getting it out on time for a year, and what is this now? June, a year and a half, except for last week and this week. And then one time when I was in Quito and the internet cut out and I had no internet at all. Oh my good God, that was annoying as hell. I told the people, can you fix the internet? And they said yes, and they did not do it because it was right next to my room and they had to unplug it and plug it back in, but you needed a ladder to get to it. And then I went downstairs and I said, the internet's not working. And they said, yes, it's working. It's working fine for us. And they had 4 lines of internet, and the only one that I could reach to my room was the one not working. And they said, look, it's working here. And they showed me the first 3 that are working. And I said, yes, but I need the 4th one next to my room because I'm doing my show. And so I had to wait hours and hours and hours and hours. And I ended up having the next day to go to a cafe 2 blocks away that had perfect internet to upload the show, to record and upload the show. Because I kept recording it and then it would delete because it wasn't uploaded in time. I don't even know what the hell was going on that time. It was ridiculous. And then the next day it was finally working very late at night. So I'm recording the show and people started, when I was doing the boop boop book, the big book of boop, or the big book of bop actually is what it's called. And people were pounding on the door and screaming at me while I'm doing the recording. And I'm like, I freaking told you guys I needed to work. And when the internet's not working, I can't work. And I tried to work from 7 or 8 at night. And that was I hated that place. I gave them the worst review. They were so mean and they're so rude. And I had written them in advance saying, I need to work. Is the internet good? They said, yes, it's great. And they lied because it was really crap internet and they had no personal sense of responsibility to their guests. And I was on the 5th floor. 5th floor of this building, and the room itself had tiny, weird little windows at the top of the room. It looked like I'm in Grandma's old basement in Minnesota in the 1960s. Is what this room, and it smelled weird, like Grandma's old basement in Minnesota in the 60s. I mean, I'm like playing dozens at this point with this place, but I mean, I don't know. If you don't know what the dozens are, man, Blackish, go watch Blackish, like the first season. I love that show. I miss that show. Can't get it here for whatever reason. I can't get Hulu down here in Ecuador. I even tried to buy Hulu to get the shows I liked, and they said, sorry, we don't play it in South America. And I'm like, oh my God. But oh my God. And this guy yesterday was walking his dogs in front of the window, and my son told me that like they were starting to become friendly, friends, I guess, and they were taking walks every day for 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden this guy started turning on my son and being very rude and very mean, and they'd go on a walk and everything would be fine, and then on the way back he would be very angry and lashing out. I'm like, maybe taking the walk itself is sparking some kind of diabetic issue or low blood sugar issue, and maybe that's what's going on with this guy. Like, he's like, look, Mom, it's not my responsibility to make excuses for this guy. It's not my responsibility to feed this guy or bring him trail mix or whatever the hell. If I'm bringing food on the trip, I'm eating it myself. It's up to him to deal with his own blood sugar issues, and it's also up to him not to be a rude asshole. And like, this is true. You're right. It made me realize that I had a pattern of making excuses for assholes as an empath, Well, maybe there's another explanation. Maybe I could see another side of it. And there's right. It comes to a point, look, this is the end of the frickin' world, and tomorrow is the beginning of a brand new day. Or we're all going to die today. I don't know. Probably it feels like tomorrow is a brand new day. If the Mayans were right, masters of time and cosmological, space-time continuums as they are, I don't know. The Mayan people I met seemed to not know a damn thing about it. When I lived in Guatemala for 9 months, I asked a lot of Mayan people. And I said, do you come from the Mayan people? And they said, oh yeah, for sure. My grandmother was Mayan, and, she speaks the old language. And well, what's going on with the calendar? Oh, we don't know. My son and I, after living there for 9 months, we had a theory that the calendar was this. The calendar makers weren't making enough money, and they discovered beer or something. Corn liquor, I don't know what the hell. They discovered something. And so, well, let's do this for money instead. I mean, maybe that's what happened. Or maybe they did make the stone and maybe lightning struck it and broke it to a million pieces, and they said, that's a sign, let's stop keeping time. I don't know. The ancient Mayan people were very intelligent, and they did some really cool things, but is it the end of the calendar, though? Is it? Or maybe they just didn't make another one, or something happened. Maybe a plague on both their houses, I don't know. Maybe it was something. Something happened. We don't really know what. It's funny because, American scientists go, it's really weird how the Mayan people suddenly disappeared and no one knows what happened to them. Go to freaking Guatemala and ask 3 or 4 people. You're going to know what happened to them. Nothing. They're still there. Freaking. It's so weird. It's so presumptuous and weird. Go to the place where you want to speculate about the people and ask the people there. What happened to the Mayan? Well, we're Mayan. What do you mean? Psst. I was in Mexico and people were saying, well, I'm Mayan. My ancestors are from the Mayan Empire. Yeah, of course. We're still here. Hello. Do you not see us? Do you not see us? It's like Christopher Colon. Cristobal Colon. His real name. Everyone calls him Columbus. Shows up to a country populated full of people and says, it's all free, raw land. Nobody's there except some savages we can dispatch of quickly. Sorry, you can't. We're still here, you know. We always hear, do you not see us? Do you not frickin' see us? And those are some of the shadows we're kind of clearing out right now. And there's some people out there throwing shade on people in the Black Lives Matter movement, trying to justify the shooting of a guy who grabbed a taser and tried to tase a cop. I don't blame him. You know, hey, if you're high on drugs and cops come to arrest you, you're going to do whatever it takes to try to get them the frick off you. He's a black man, and he knew what happened to a lot of other black men before him, and he didn't want to be a statistic, and he ended up being a statistic. Because the cops have decided that they are the judge, they are the jury, and it is their job to kill people. Murder is illegal unless you're a cop, apparently, and a lot of cops that have been doing these random murders of black people without a trial. We do have we have a right to a fair trial with a jury of our peers. That's the law. And the cops think they are the fucking law, and they're not. They're just cops. They're not even the administrators of the law. They just are the beginning stage of a long process called due process of the law, and everybody deserves their day in court. Whether they're guilty or not is not up to the police to decide. It is not their duty. It's not their job. It's not in their job description to murder people because of the color of their skin. It's not in their job description to murder people at all. It's not in their job description to do chokeholds that will result in serious bodily injury. It is, in fact, their job to determine if someone is breaking the law, put them in handcuffs gently, and put them in a car and bring them to jail, where a judge will decide what happens, whether they get a jury or it's just the judge. And then the judge decides, and then the sentencing comes down, and then whatever plays out, community service or jail time or prison, if the feds have to be involved because a crime is so great. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's always been, supposedly. And now suddenly the cops think they have all this power. They're wielding all this power. They're deciding if they get the power or not. And they're deciding if they should dispatch their weapons or not. And I'm telling you, there are countries in this world where the police don't carry a frickin' gun because they don't damn need it. Defund the police. Defund the police. Defund the fucking police now. Well, so that's a shadow that we're dealing with now in this time. The last day of the age. Wouldn't it be great if today all the violent oppressors just frickin' randomly dropped dead because they're not allowed in our fifth dimensional playground world that we're moving to, energetically speaking, tomorrow? I mean, I really honestly think fat chance of that happening, but wouldn't it be wonderful? What an ideal utopia we will all live in. We all live in Chaz. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's CHAZ in Seattle. They literally have created a utopian world where food and drink is free and the police have nothing to do with it. They took over the precinct, which is now just fully boarded up. And the people are just having this one big group love fest, hippie fest 2020. Playing music and hanging out. But it's Seattle. I mean, hey, it's pretty cool. I don't know what this means, but a really beautiful gray dove just flew down onto a tree, and it's walking down the tree slowly. The tree is leaning at an angle over the river, and the dove is just kind of hanging out, walking down, eating, I don't know what, lichens, I guess, are growing on the side of the tree. And that might mean something to someone, a lonely dove. Before I started, my son played this song, Super Lonely. I don't know if you've ever heard of this by Brenna. Brenna. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's got a YouTube channel. She's got a Vivo channel. It's probably playing all over the U.S. We have a really wonderful radio station here that does play music from the U.S. as well as Latino hits coming out of all of South America, not just not just the Ecuadorian music, but yeah. Oh, now she flew to the shore. She's coming a little bit closer to me, just eating whatever she can find. This beautiful dove. Wow. Such an idyllic scene, man, what I'm looking at. I wish you guys could tap into my eyes and see what I'm seeing in this moment. It's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, so we're here. We're at the end of the world. All this cosmic radiation is coming down. We're probably having these massive cosmic naps. I mean, it happened to me at night at midnight. Oh, beautiful, beautiful yellow butterfly, butter yellow color just flew by from the left to the right, meaning we have a beautiful sunny future. Big, bright, sunny future. Freedom, liberation. That's what that means. That color of yellow. It's just a very pale yellow. What a beautiful butterfly that is. Big. I mean, it was as big as my hand. Just went by. Not that I have huge hands, bigger than Trump's, but... oh, but yeah, here she goes. She's flying around the garden and everything. Looks like the chickens went home to roost for a while. Oh, actually, they went down the river. They're just walking around the banks of the river. And here comes another beautiful yellow butterfly, sunshine yellow, with little black edges. This is a beautiful place, man. I'm really grateful. I want to share it with you guys, at least through a description. Maybe I could get some pictures and put them on Instagram. I'll do like my normal message with the pictures following so you can see. And I might have some more coffee readings for you. If you guys want to see what you can see in the coffee grounds, there might be messages that mean something to you. You know, tea leaf readings, that's one thing. There's also coffee ground readings, and I do both. So I take pictures because I get messages. I got an F in my coffee the other day. It looked like the letter F. You know, that might mean something to some of you. It is, my last name, Fox, F-O-X. I mean, it's there. Yeah, so there you have it. I wanted to let you guys know about Casper crowing. I think I did mention it. I have been really out of it when I'm doing the show, and I'll like finish the show, publish it, and then an hour later I don't remember what I just said. And I don't know if it's just that I'm in a state of hypnosis. Very well may be the case. When I'm as an introvert, knowing that people listen to this, I get kind of nervous. Or, I'm in the moment and enjoying the moment, and then at the end of the moment, I don't remember what happened because I'm in the moment again. I could go back and listen, and I could tell you word for word what I'm about to say, because that's how I am. It's who I am. This is my personality. This is me being real and genuine, and I'm always the same. I'm very consistent. I could tell you a story 10 years ago about something that happened, and I could tell you tomorrow the same story, and my details would be exactly the same. Maybe a couple embellishments here and there. Maybe I'll remember extra details, but the events as they unfolded back then are the same as how I remember them now. I told my son last night a story of one of the worst dates I ever had. I had him rolling. He was laughing so hard. It was hilarious as a story, but as me, the person going through it at that moment, it was terrible. The guy who picked me up was a horrible person, and his friends are even more horrible, homophobic, sexist, misogynistic people. I couldn't get away from them fast enough. But the way I told my son the story, he was laughing so hard. He's like, "Mom, you need to be on a stage doing your comedy someday, because this story is hilarious, but it also has a message, basically about Don't be talking smack about gay people. You know, when you might be in from the presence of someone in the LGBTQ community. And also because it's wrong. I mean, mostly because it's wrong. And you just never know who your audience is. But, you know, frickin' read the damn room. Yo. Anyway, guys, I'm apologetic. I'm sorry that I didn't get the show out on time. I am getting it out now. You're going to get your 5 episodes this week, come hell or high water, God willing, and my creek behind my house don't rise. It's always going to happen. It's just sometimes it's a day late and $1 short, probably, because I'm probably going to get 100 people less listening, but maybe not, hopefully not. I'm going to go into my normal introduction things, but before I do, I want to let you know what the show is about tonight. Today. 12 hours late, today, tonight, whatever. I'm going to talk about astrology. I'm going to go to King Astrology, and I'm going to read to you guys some of the things I found there about from the full, was it new moon? No, full moon that we just had on down. We're almost to the new moon. There are so many freaking things happening, you guys. I mean, we had this eclipse, and that's energy. Ever since this eclipse, we have 3 eclipses this month, 7 planets in retrograde, including Mercury retrograde, which is always a big deal for me. But I want to tell you, something happened last night, and this is what... See, look, and I asked God, what happened? What the frick happened? Because I have been waiting 5 frickin' weeks for internet. 5 weeks. That is unacceptable. But it is a national, global pandemic, and it is the government. So, you know, red tape and all that shit. But they told me 2 weeks ago, they said next week we'll install the internet. And then all of a sudden the government made a ruling that no one can pay cash for the internet. They have to pay directly from their bank account. They can't pay in the offices. And then I had to sign a new contract that stated the same fucking thing that I already stated. I mean, this is the shadow period of Mercury retrograde, right? Because it just started yesterday, Mercury retrograde. And then today, again, yeah, right? Why didn't get the show out? Freaking blame it on Mercury retrograde starting. But... You know, your best laid plans, especially for me with a million planets in Virgo, and Virgo being highly affected by the Mercury retrograde thing. There's always weird shit that happens around this time. But so anyway, they're supposed to install it. They said within 1 month, and that was 5 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, they said we're going to do it next week. And then they have this new ruling, and they said you have to sign new paperwork. And I signed the paperwork on Monday, and they said, they told me on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and they said, but the office is closed until 2. And the guy I had to go see was going to be there from 2 until 5. And then I get a WhatsApp message from Rodrigo, the guy who helped me sign the original contract. And he said, to be honest with you, you can sign it between 2 and 4, but the guy you have to meet, he leaves the office early every day at 3. So even though they said show up between 2 and 4, because that's technically his office hours, he's going to be gone at 3. I'm like, oh my God. So he's telling me this at 2:15. By the time I get dressed and ready and showered and changed and get the guy over here to take me over there, the office will be closed on Friday. So I'm like, I'm going to do it on Monday. So I did it on Monday, and I showed up, and the guy was there. And I showed up right at 2. And he showed up right at 2, about 2:15 or something. And I didn't have to wait long. And he signed everything. Everything's fine. Bada boom, bada bing. And he looked at me and goes, it will be 8 days from now. What? You're going to get internet in the next 8 days. And I'm like, what? And then my friend started arguing on my behalf in Spanish. Like, hey, no. Look, she's been waiting for 5 weeks already. And he was there as my advocate, right? She's been here for 5 weeks waiting. You guys changed the rules, and now she can't pay with cash, and she can only come here to this office to pay the cash. And he says, no, she could pay in JEP like any other time. So what the hell was that? Nothing changed. All the miscommunications. tons of miscommunications for weeks already, and Mercury just went retrograde yesterday. It's like, oh my God. So last night, you guys, I lit a white candle, and I didn't even talk about the internet. I just lit a white candle, and I just said, in the name of the goddesses, okay? In the name of all that is good and holy in the world, in the name of all pure intentions, in the name of the goddess energy, the female goddess energy, I lit a white candle. And all I said was, bless my house, bless my son and myself, just bless our space and our energy, that this candle will burn up any negativity and pull in nothing but positive vibes. And less than 12 hours later, at 8:15 in the morning, I get a WhatsApp message. They're on their way to install internet. This is 4 days. He said 5 to 8 days, but most likely 8 days. And it was 4 days, less than 4 days, like 3.5 days later, after I signed that form. 3.5 days, boom, light that candle, baby. I'm telling you guys, magic is real and it's more palpable, and it produces bigger results at this time because we are in the 5th dimension already. Magic is easier in the 5th dimension than in the 3rd. It's faster. What you might manifest in a year or 2 years in the 3rd, I'm thinking you're going to manifest in 6 months. What you would have manifested in a week, in the 3rd, you're going to manifest in 24 hours in the 5th. It's my observations. All right, guys, I'm going to get into it, my typical beginning stages of the introduction, and then we're going to get into the astrology of what the flock is happening this week. All right, space weather news, and this is from yesterday because I didn't refresh the page. So this is the Wednesday report. Solar wind speed yesterday was 303.9 kilometers per second, which means it did pick up. The sunspot was blank. There was nothing going on with the sun because it dissipated, and it's kind of sad. There is a lunar occultation of Venus that they're mentioning, and they're saying it's tomorrow morning, Friday, which I believe is Venus's day, the goddess Venus. I believe it's also Freytag is tomorrow. Friday, Freytag. Makes sense, right? The goddess Freytag in the Norse tradition. So it says Venus and the crescent moon are going to have a very close encounter. Very close. Very close. In some parts of the world, the moon will completely eclipse or occult the second planet. Amateur astronomer Odd Trondal of Oslo, Norway, filmed an almost identical lunar occultation of Venus 16 years ago. And there's pictures of it. There's 9 pictures on spaceweather.com if you want to check it out. He says, don't forget to look again this Friday morning if you can, he urged. It's going to take place in broad daylight. Now, supposedly, this is going to look like a ring of fire around the moon. Oh, it's exactly what we need. Right? What does that mean? What energy is that going to pull in? But anyway, it goes on and on, talks about it. Somebody named Victor Rogus, Victor C. Rogus, a fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society. He says, way back in 1987, I witnessed a lunar occultation of Venus. It was, to this day, one of the most memorable astronomical events I have ever witnessed. So I'm urging you guys to go and look in the morning on Friday for this. If you're in an area where it exists or where you could see it. If not, hey, YouTube. YouTube always is helpful for these things. All right, looks like my neighbor. I'll tell you about this in today's episode. This is yesterday's episode I'm doing now. I'm going to tell you the ongoing saga of what's going on. It's like a telenovela. It's hilarious. It's hysterical. I'm going to tell you. So I could probably write a very funny comedy based on the urbanization or Sweet Adela. Basically, the gated community group chat is hilarious. Not that they mean it to be. It's just events that are taking place, and as they're unfolding, I'm reading this, and it's funnier and funnier and funnier. I'll tell you about it in a minute. It says there are no large coronal holes on the Earth side of the sun, so yay, no more. But just watch. I bet later today they'll announce that there'll be a new one, and it'll hit us over the weekend, as it's always been doing, right? As far as the cosmic radiation coming down, according to the Oulu, Finland University, they're saying that we're at 10% even. We've been up 5% of the neutron counts. So we're at 10% of the space age average. We're very high. Lots of radiation coming in. Let's see how many fireballs we had. 13 fireballs were reported. Now, I think it was 16 on the 16th. I think there was 9 yesterday. I think this might be the new information. So I think it's 13. And they're radical. Damn, if you guys look at this, usually there's a pattern to it. And now it's just like we had 13, which is the number of death in the tarot. And 13 moons in a year. We get 13 full moons and 13 new moons. And if you count Jesus and his 12 disciples, that's 13 people. It's a very sacred number. A lot of people get scared of this number. Friday the 13th. Triskaidekaphobia. If you're frightened of this number, that's a condition you have. Triskaidekaphobia. But the network reported 13 fireballs on June 18th, it says. So we'll see later if more are reported. But yesterday, I believe there was 9. So technically for Wednesday's show, which I'm doing today, I'm like doing a dyslexic early edition. Do you guys remember the TV show Early Edition? One of my favorite shows, where he got tomorrow's newspaper today, and he went around the city preventing all the tragedies and bad things from happening to people because he felt like that was his duty and his job now. Oh, so sweet. So sweet. And it's such a wonderful idea. But, so he got to be a weird superhero that showed up creepily before things happen, like saving people right before an explosion. So then he gets blamed for the explosion because how did he know it's going to happen? The cops get suspicious. See, it's the cops are always ruining everybody's day. In the eyes of everyone else, he's a damn hero. It's always the cops that are suspicious. Maybe they're suspicious because they can't be trusted. I don't know. Hashtag just saying. All right, so let's go to the next thing and see where we're at in my 51 minutes. All right, cool. All right, so the Schumann Resonance. I'm gonna pause this for a quick minute. Man, I was getting so many notifications from the neighbors because one of the neighbors makes this espumilla, which means literally foam, out of egg white and sugar and this amazing tasting fruit, but it's too sweet and it's very weird. And it is raw egg. It's like we're in a pandemic and we're eating raw egg. It just doesn't sound right. All right, so I wanted to let you know from the disclosurenews.it site. I'm going by Wednesday's numbers. This is yesterday now. 17 at 17. Or 17 on the 17th. That's what we've been having. An amplitude of 17 on the 17th. And it's always been a big thing. But what happened yesterday was it was 40. It was like 20, power 25, they say. Power. Hertz frequency. I don't know why we can't use that word, but Hertz frequency of 25, and then it went up to 40, and then it went back down to 7.40, and then it went below, and then went down. After 40, it went down to 22 and then down to 740. And they say from 13 UTC time and on and on. The frequency remained low for 10 hours. From 3 to 13. See, yesterday Tuesday we read 313. That's a special number for me. That's the area code of Detroit where I used to live, and everyone's phone numbers was 313. And so we always said, hey, remember the 313. Always remember the 313. It's kind of basically saying, always remember Detroit. And there's a couple brands that use 313 in their brand name because it's a pride of Detroit. It's a cool city. It would not, from hearing the bad, negative reports of the place, you'd think it was a cesspool of humanity type of place. But when we got there, it was the most beautiful, lovely people. So sweet, loving, helpful, positive, laughing, joking, mellow. One of the coolest cities I've ever been to, honestly. Yeah, it's dangerous sometimes, but don't get mixed up in the wrong people. You'll be fine. But anyway, so that was it. It was just pretty much 40 was the highest number for the disclosurenews.it website coming down from Italy. That was the Italian numbers. Now, I'm going to talk about on heartmath.org. They have, I told you that they're 2 days behind, and I'm doing Wednesday's show, so I'm going to talk about Monday's numbers because it's 2 days behind. And then later when I do the show, I'm going to talk about, Tuesday's numbers. I don't know why they're behind 2 days, but they are. Hopefully they'll catch up eventually. And maybe, just maybe now that I have access to the internet, after I've got to wipe my hard drive, I've got to put all my stuff on because I've got a virus on my computer, or maybe multiple, and I had a hacker, and I don't want to infect this brand new, shiny, clean, bright network with that info. So I'm going to have to put everything, all my pictures and my book and all my writings and all my private things, one by one. I got to put everything on the hard drive. Then I got to wipe my hard drive. On the external drive, wipe my hard drive, and then I'm going to have to take it downtown and disinfect it electronically or computerally speaking. And so it might be 2 or 3 days, maybe Monday. By Monday, I'm hoping that we can get all this, maybe Tuesday, we'll get everything done. And I could get back on the internet, and maybe, just maybe, the heartmath.org website will actually work on my computer again. And we could be up to the date, up to the minute of what's going on with the Schumann Resonance, because that would be, awesome. Anyway, we got 3 minutes remaining, so that's not much time. Let's get to it. I'm going to talk about the highest numbers that happened on Monday. That would be, of course, June 15th right at midnight. California was at 140 hertz frequency. Hofuf, Saudi Arabia, came up off the mat really quick to 103 hertz frequency. 216 hertz frequency is what they saw in Lithuania, and Alberta, Canada was at, get this, 405, and that's why I'm telling you what happened right at midnight. 405 hertz frequency. That's huge. The lowest hertz frequency of the day on Monday was 68 in Northland, New Zealand. And in Hululu, South Africa, they were at 146. Now, the numbers came down considerably on Monday. And where they ended, let's see if I could go to where they ended over here. Where they pretty much ended at the 20 hour, we could go to the 23rd hour, was basically 103, 82, 173, and that 405 came down to 230, and then 55 and 106. So I'm not going to tell the names of the cities. I did them in order, but the lowest number on the lowest part of Monday was 55. That's still in the fifth dimension. The highest number of the lowest numbers of Monday was 230, so it's still pretty high, So we're going to go in later today when I do the show for Thursday specifically. We're going to go into it more and see. I think, honestly, guys, because of this weird pattern thing happening in my house, I'm going to have to start doing the show during the day forever, and hopefully you guys will get to hear the river a little bit when all the other background noises aren't there. And hopefully you can hear the water running of this beautiful creek. It's gorgeous. And now that I have my own internet, I could probably go sit right on the banks of the creek and do this. So, lesson 314 is where we're at in A Course in Miracles. I got to read through it really quick. I have 1 minute left. Okay. I seek a future different from the past. I seek a future different from the past. Perfect for the end of the world. From new perception of the world, there comes a future very different from the past. The future now is recognized as but extension of the present. Past mistakes can cast no shadows on it, so that fear has lost its idols and its images, and being formless, it has no effects. Death will not claim the future now, for life is now its goal, and all the needed means are happily provided. Who can grieve or suffer when the present has been freed, extending its security and peace into a quiet future filled with joy? Father, we were mistaken in the past and choose to use the present to be free. Now do we leave the future in your hands, leaving behind our past mistakes, and sure that you will keep the present promises and guide the future in their holy light. So there you have it, guys. I seek a future different from the past. There we go. I'm going to be right back with news of astrology happening in the world today, right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, before I fully get into the astrology, I wanted to make a quick correction. Her name is not Brené. It's spelled like Renee with a B, so my mind, being what it is with the dyslexia or whatnot, added an R in there. Anyway, her name is Benee, Benee, just like that. I don't know, maybe it's Benee, maybe it's Benee, I don't know. Maybe it's Benee. I like Benee, but I don't know how you pronounce her name. Anyway, highly recommend her YouTube channel. Her music is amazing. Super Lonely is the only song from her that I know right now, but I'm sure soon I will know many more songs because she's so cute and she has really cute videos, and, you know, maybe you all know who she is already, and I'm just discovering her now at this late date. Who knows? But I wanted to make a quick correction. It's Benee, Benee, or Beanie, whatever. A beanie. Could be beanie. I don't know how she pronounced. We'll see. Anyway, I had to move away from the window because it got a little chilly, and the factory started up with some really loud sounds, and so getting away from that. Now we hear an airplane overhead because, oh my God, we're opening up a little bit more, little by little. The country's opening up, and now we have a little bit more air travel, although that does sound like a 172. I don't have it in visual sight right now, but it might be a little passenger plane that seats only 2 to 4 people, maybe 4 people. It might be a little better. Anyway, I don't know. I've only flown a few 172s in my life, and it just became an absolute fascination for me for a minute. Anyway, we're going to get into it now. We're going to get into the astrology of what has been going on. We're going to start, though, with what already happened, which was the lunar eclipse that happened on the 5th, okay? It created heated emotions that quickly turned to anger. Now, did we see that in our world or what? Black Lives Matter movement came up right quick, right after this started, right? I think it's been a couple weeks. And, today's 8. Yeah, it's been about that time. So the opposition to Venus retrograde focuses this anger on love relationships. So it might have happened in your love relationships as well. That was pretty much what happened. There was a threat of war, love versus hate in relationships as well as in general. I'm not going to go over all of what he puts, okay, because it's really deep from that one day, from that week. But I wanted to mention it because that's pretty crazy. The lunar was eclipse of square Mars, which brings simmering anger to the surface, so that care is required to avoid being hurt or causing harm. You could lose your temper with a loved one or face emotional attacks from others. And it's a danger when taking risks or acting impulsively. Holding on to anger and frustration isn't advised, so some degree of emotional discomfort is to be expected. So talking about releasing frustrations, being overly defensive or mean if someone shares feelings with you, and having the courage to face what makes you feel threatened. Sounds to me like what's going on in the Black Lives Matter movement, right? What started like on the 5th. So we're going to go to what's happening now. I'm going to pause this for a second and pull up that page. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the solar eclipse that is coming up on the 21st of June, which is also the Cancer new moon. And Mercury retrograde is in the sign of Cancer, by the way, which is a very watery sign. It's the sign of the crabs, sheltering, caring, because a crab, they walk sideways, they sidestep things. They don't want to, hurt anybody. People who are Cancerian generally I found out yesterday, I read this, was like amazing. I didn't know this, but according to the FBI, some of the most dangerous people in the world are Cancers, which you wouldn't believe. Knowing a Cancer, they're very sweet. They, like my friend Amber, she was a Cancer. She said, yeah, we're Cancers. We're tits for the world. We will feed everybody. We will make everybody wonderful, feel great and at home. But the thing is, Cancers are very emotional. It's a very watery sign. And when people are very emotional under a very watery sign, that's when crimes of passion can happen. And people who are Cancerians tend to be very, very passionate. And you go against them, they can go very, very passionate in a negative way. So there's that. Just want to bring that up. Before I get into it, though, I want to tell you something that I thought was crazy. I just read. According to Variety, just a few minutes ago, they announced that Donald Trump's presidential campaign on Facebook was just taken down for violations of the community guidelines for hate speech. Oh my God. His campaign was taken down for hate speech. Can we get any clearer with this, guys? I don't know why this Cheeto wasn't removed with the, impeachment Roomba. Okay, why? Well, it's incredulous to me. It really is. Like, why? Why was this guy not taken out of office already when they had the damn chance? Hundreds of thousands of people dying of coronavirus. Hate speech continuing. Saying he's going to send the military out for the people instead of listening to the people. We're going to use force against our own people as opposed to listen to what they have to say, because maybe perhaps we might be right. Yeah, well, let's just see what the astrology has to say, because this is what's going to happen on Sunday with the solar eclipse, June 21st, 2020. Should we live that long, since today is technically the end of the world according to the Mayan calendar? Oh my God, so many things at once. So the Cancer new moon on Sunday the 21st is a solar eclipse. By the way, 3 eclipses this month, so this is the second one. The main influence on solar eclipse June 2020 comes from the planet Saturn, causing an imbalance between personal freedom and responsibility, between self-expression and restriction. I'll read that again. What's happening on Sunday is an imbalance between personal freedom and responsibility, and self-expression and restriction. An imbalance. IMBALANCE. The new moon solar eclipse joins a star that gives initiative and enthusiasm, but also a tendency towards pleasure-seeking, impulsiveness, and recklessness. So this is an eclipse phase for a patient, cautious, responsible attitude. But flexibility and open-mindedness are also needed as you adapt to changes in the level of restrictions in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Solar eclipse meaning in general is, it's just like a regular new moon, but the moon passes between the earth and the sun. And a solar eclipse is more powerful because the moon darkens the sun. The solar eclipse, June 2020, is an annular solar eclipse, so not all of the sun will be darkened. In this type of partial eclipse, the apparent diameter of the moon is smaller than the sun's, leaving a ring of light around the eclipsed sun. The strongest and most important aspect of astrology is the sun conjunct the moon. It means that all possibilities are on the table. You can rightly put yourself at the forefront of any new plans for the future. This is an ideal time to make a fresh start. This is a time for you to write your new goals down on paper. Yay, Virgos everywhere cheering, because lists are the name of the game for us. Question your old habits at this time and your old behaviors as you search for new and inventive ways to make progress in your life. Solar eclipse June 2020 astrology is thus, and by the way, I am reading this from astrologyking.com. Astrologyking.com. So the new moon solar eclipse is at 0 degrees 21 Cancer, 21 feet, I don't know, 21 it says, with the foot tick mark, I don't know what that's called. Cancer, it makes just one significant planetary aspect as shown in the chart below. It's very simple looking, it's crazy. Looks like things are lining up, and it's all on the left hand of the chart, left hand side. So although a solar eclipse quincunx Saturn may be termed a minor aspect, it is an important influence in this case because the aspect orb is only 0 degrees 19. So balancing for personal freedoms against responsibility and restrictions is a major theme for the eclipse. So I'm not going to go into all the nitty-gritty numbers here because I don't know what the hell it means. It's, really, if you know what it means, you might want to go check out Astrology King and go into the nitty-gritty of the numbers and stuff. But it creates an imbalance between what you want to do and what you have to do. Your freedom or your self-expression may be hampered by restrictions and obligations. The mix of freedom versus restriction is likely to change during this eclipse phase. So it's important to be flexible, adaptable, and open-minded as you adjust to greater or fewer responsibilities, or your barriers to your progress. Hard work, patience, self-restraint, self-discipline are also needed. And you have to take time off work, maybe, possibly because of an illness. Oh my God, right during the pandemic. Or to look after a sick family member. And your career might suffer as a result. But on the other hand, the extra responsibilities might be placed on you at work. That means you have to miss out on something important in your personal life. Feeling constantly torn between competing responsibilities can lead to increased tension. In extreme cases, it might seem too much to bear, and overwork can lead to physical illness or even exhaustion. Trying to find a compromise is difficult, and even minor adjustments may restore balance. Avoid wasting your valuable time by procrastinating. Take one thing at a time, focus on your most important responsibility first. Now, I could see where feeling like your obligation is to march, protest, speak up. I could see where that might be something that's like, your freedom of just enjoying your life versus your responsibilities to yourself, humanity at large, as well as your own personal responsibilities and work responsibilities. Seems like it's going to be kind of an interesting time this weekend. So just the most important thing first and move on from there. So there's also, it says Mekalanon. I just feel like half the time he makes up stuff. It says it's on the left shoulder of the Charioteer or the Auriga constellation. These are one of the fixed stars. Gives great initiative, high enterprise, and enthusiasm at this time. But also caution and objective second thoughts are needed because of impulsiveness, the recklessness, combative, and destructive nature of this eclipse and these, the rest of this. You might even experience ruin, disgrace, and a violent death because of excess pleasure seeking. So be careful. This is not a weekend to be doing drugs, guys. Save the drugs for when the astrology is a little bit better. A little bit in our favor, right? Only when really in good aspect is this fixed star rated as a positive acting one. When it's badly positioned, this star is the most unhelpful. So that's kind of some of the crap that's going on. I think that, be very careful if you're protesting. Wear an extra mask. If you could wear a face mask where they can't pepper spray you directly in the face. Be very, very careful. Have your emergency numbers on hand, Be careful. So, the major theme of this June 21st solar eclipse is balancing your personal freedom and self-expression with changing levels of restrictions and responsibilities. To avoid increasing tension, flexibility, and adaptability are needed. You have to avoid those things. So the fixed star gives enthusiasm and initiative, but also a tendency towards pleasure-seeking, impulsiveness, and recklessness, as we already said before. This stresses the need implied by Saturn for a patient, cautious, responsible approach to new personal freedoms or new restrictions. Of course, especially in relation to coronavirus. In the next 2 weeks, the 21st solar eclipse themes will complement the themes of the June 5th lunar eclipse, which was impatience, sexual frustration, and the lack of self-control. Then it will complement the themes of the July 5th lunar eclipse in July, so that's still coming up, through November 30th, 2020. If the solar eclipse is directly affecting your sun sign, then you could go ahead and read it in your free monthly horoscope, which is on astrologyking.com. So the previous moon phase was the lunar eclipse June 5th. The next moon phase is the lunar eclipse July 5th, and right now we're in the solar eclipse this weekend. Now you can see the path it's going to take, starting from Africa and then going up towards Nepal and then down towards the ocean in Asia. So this is going to affect Africa, India, Nepal, and Asia, okay? That's where it's going to be visible as a ring of fire in parts of Africa, South Pakistan, northern India, and China, which I just said. So in China too. So this is going to literally cross the country of China. That's going to be very interesting. Do you guys remember a couple years ago when it crossed the United States and oh my God, all kinds of hell broke loose. I was talking about it on my YouTube channel, Metaphysical Soul Speak is my YouTube channel, back when I was doing not live videos, but videos where it's me talking, and you could actually see my face. Oh my God, so embarrassing for me. But when you look at this, when you look at what happened, all the things that were happening in that year, that freaked me out. It was like a big, like God is saying nope and crossing out the United States. Now it's happening in China. Parts of Africa, Pakistan, India, and China. But it's not like the big, this is an annular, so it's going to be, there's still going to be a ring of fire. It's not going to be a massive black streak that goes for miles across and crossing a whole country. I mean, that was nuts. Do you guys remember seeing that? It was like, it's time for a reckoning in the United States, and that's what's been happening for like 3 years now. Has it not? All right, I'm going to pause this again and look up some other things. Hold on. Well, we're going to start with the big one, the big one that affects everybody, but mostly Virgos and Geminis. But Mercury retrograde, okay, started today. Oh my God, it's already underway. So we've been in the shadow period of it for, well, if you're me, 3 weeks. But if you're the average person who starts feeling the shadowy side of Mercury retrograde, you've been in it for a week already, but it started today. Mercury retrograde 2020 begins on June 18th in 14 degrees Cancer and ends on July 12th at 5 degrees Cancer. Remember when I said June 26th, between the 18th and 26th, have extreme caution in your life. But it ends on July 12th. Mercury retrograde ends on the 12th, which means it's still going to be until the 19th affecting you. Maybe even a couple weeks past that if you're maybe me or a Gemini, right? Virgo or Gemini. All right, so Mercury retrograde in motion is usually communication and technology breakdowns, nervous anxiety, travel delays, and lost items. But Mercury retrograde June of 2020 will have a more positive influence. What? Positive? Well, let's read on because this has already piqued my curiosity. Again, this is from astrologyking.com. Mercury retrograde 2020 makes no planetary aspect, but is under the influence of the brightest star in the sky, Sirius. Are you serious right now? This portends business success, honor, renown, and wealth. Well, that's good. Another positive influence comes from an asteroid associated with wisdom, prudence, and deep thought. Rational thinking, wise counsel, and caution can help you make intelligent decisions right now that will lead you to success and wealth. More detail about Mercury retrograde of June 2020 follows some general information at retrograde Mercury in transit. Information about Mercury retrograde in the natal chart is also found at the end of this article. So if you want to go to astrologyking.com, and across the top, he has a little ticker tape sort of thing going on. Just wait, and eventually it's going to say Mercury retrograde 2020. Click that on, and you're going to see what I mean and what he means. All right. So the Mercury retrograde phase is just one part of the retrograde cycle. The whole cycle includes Mercury going direct and retrograde and direct again, right? So it's just like back and forth over the same degrees or the retrograde zone. And then it moves a little bit farther along every time, basically. So the two direct phases are called the shadow periods, and it shows pretty much what's going on. Here's the illustration of it. So now he repeats himself a little bit, so I'm going to move on to what this means for us. The retrograde zone this time is 5 degrees to 14 degrees Cancer. So remember what I said about the passionate thing. The 2 direct phases are known as shadow periods, and the first shadow phase is June 2nd through 18th. So, all right, 16 days. That's quite huge, right? So we've been in the shadow phase for a while. And then June 18th through the July 12th is the retrograde phase, and then the second shadow phase is the 12th through the 26th of July. Wow, okay. Oh no, it's not my son slamming the door, by the way. It's the wind, which tends to do that. I think my son had some things open. We have to air it out after the day when he makes the pepper sauce, because it gets really like breathing in pepper spray for days. All right, so let's see, what does it say about the Mercury retrograde zone? Well, so basically, the business success, again, and it's all on the left-hand side of the chart, which is not bad. Not bad. So Sirius, the strongest stellar influence comes from Sirius for 3 reasons. Firstly, it's the brightest of all the fixed stars. Secondly, it's closer to Mercury. Thirdly, and most importantly, Mercury pulls up short of Canopus, but already has passed over Sirius. Now, the fixed star Sirius, this is what it means for us. It gives us honor, renown, wealth, ardor, faithfulness, devotion, passion, and resentment, and makes its natives custodians, curators, and guardians. Also gives danger of dog bites. Dog star Sirius. Oh my God. And just wait till I tell you in today's, Thursday's episode, in the introduction, it is directly related to that, and it's already started over here, so okay. Oh my goodness. Mercury conjunct Sirius means great business success, help through influential people, worries unnecessarily, of course, associated with the church, physical defect through an accident. Oh my God, you guys, be freaking careful right now. The asteroid Metis was named after the Greek goddess of wisdom, prudence, and deep thought. She was the first wife of Zeus, or Jupiter, and the mother of Athena, or also known as Pallas. Asteroid Metis keywords are intelligence, wisdom, deep thought, prudence, good judgment, power, wise counsel, skill, craft, magical cunning, and trickster. So that is also playing a part in this Mercury retrograde period. So that's good. For once, we have some kind of good news. Some kind of good news coming up for us a little bit. All right, let's go to some of these other things going on. Okay, you guys, now we have more good news. Neptune retrograde. Now, the thing that I read the other day wasn't totally clear on what exactly is happening and when, but now we are going to get it clear, okay? Neptune retrograde 2020 starts on June 23rd, okay? So that's going to be next Tuesday, at 21 degrees Pisces, and it will end on November 28th, so months from now, towards the end of the year, at 18 degrees Pisces. Neptune stationary retrograde makes no planetary aspect this year, nothing major. No major fixed star conjunctions either. So the standard Neptune retrograde themes will apply, and I'm going to talk to you guys about it right now. So the transit Neptune retrograde meaning. So it's a 160-day cycle every year during the opposition to the sun, meaning when it's going retrograde. Now the planets don't actually go backwards. It's just what it appears from our point of view. It's always moving forward. Everything in the universe is moving forward. Moving forward, onward and upward, as they say. But it's just how it appears to us. So don't be confused about the word retrograde. It sounds like it's going backwards, but really it's moving forward. It's just the way it appears to us, and so that's how it affects us, as if it's going backwards. Going back over our work, checking ourselves, double checking to make sure everything is okay. So it says 40% of our time here on Earth, Neptune is retrograde. Compared to Mars, which is only retrograde 9%, Venus is only 7% of the time. So it's kind of a lot that they're all going to be retrograde at the same time. But here we go. Transiting Neptune retrograde can internalize your fears and anxieties by stripping away all of your illusions, dreams, and false realities that have clouded your vision. Funny, it's happening in the beginning of the new world. After the Mayan calendar is fully ended. 5 days into the Mayan calendar being gone and gone forever. Like this is... Okay, so the destruction of your fantasy world will show those harsh realities you sought to avoid at some stage in the past. Maybe you've kidded yourself about true love or your financial situation or your career prospects. The further from the truth that you travel, the more extreme the methods of your escape and the bigger the shock when the reality hits you. The truth of your reality is often quite painful. It's often the case when addiction to drugs, alcohol, gambling, or porn has been your escape. His words on astrologyking.com, not mine. It does not have to take an intervention or withdrawal to recognize your self-deception either. This realization has always been there in your higher self or your pineal gland as represented by Neptune. I did not know that. Did you guys even know that? Your pineal gland is represented by Neptune? This is crazy. Now, a new relationship or critical event can trigger an old past life memory of pain. Neptune rules self-sacrifice, victimization, false accusations, scandal, and slander. Neptune retrograde can show the source of the pain from which you sought to escape. You might feel, this is next Tuesday, guys, you might feel humiliated, betrayed, scared, anxious, or guilty. Be aware of those energies coming in. Heal it. Try to heal it. Light a candle. White candle. Magic at this time, remember, very strong. The internalizing influence of retrograde motion means you may spend more time worrying about yourself and your problems. Great, it's all we need. Self-pity, social anxiety, or depression. It can lead to withdrawal and loneliness. That's when you play that song, Super Lonely, by Bene. B-E-N-E-E. Okay. Neptune retrograde is the ideal time for spiritual self-development. Well, hey, there's some positivity finally. Self-help books or counseling might help. Other tools, of course, yoga, tarot, meditation, astrology, even just swimming in a swimming pool. And a healthy toxin-free diet, for sure. Phobias, hypochondria, paranoia will destroy you. May become more noticeable during Neptune retrograde, but also easier to discuss. So, hey, there's that. The world might seem boring when conspiracy theories are debunked, or Armageddon is postponed indefinitely. Well, that's freaking good, although it ends today, right? So, 5 days late and $5 short? I don't know. You decide. Sometimes, however, your suspicions may in fact be based on reality and realistic psychic impressions. Especially in the case of health matters, so be careful. Watch your health. Also avoid dogs. Remember what we said earlier. It is worth seeking a second opinion in case of misdiagnosis or misinterpretation of results. So, again, all these aspects are on the left-hand side of the chart. It does say that there are no major fixed stars, but constellation Phoenix might have influence. Beta Reticuli is not worth considering because it's further away and Neptune pulls up short of it. Now, the constellation Phoenix is said to give us a pioneering disposition, ambition, and power, together with a long life and lasting fame. Fame! I'm gonna live forever. People remember my name. Remember. Okay, I'm off that. I just had to say that. I'm famous among 148 of you. That's my average audience size. Maybe a few other people know about me. Please spread the word. Tell people. Metaphysical Soul Speak the podcast. Please. This is a perfect time. Anyway, it says this is a relatively bland retrograde. Well, yeah, unless you become famous. But anyway. Apart from the influence of Phoenix, the standard interpretation for Neptune retrograde in transit applies. So there you go. And then it says it ends on December 1st, 2020 with Neptune direct at 18 degrees 9 Pisces. So there you go. If you want to check it out in accordance to your birth chart, that is also available on astrologyking.com. We're going to see what else is going on with this. With all these aspects. This is so much. Okay, I'm going to pause this again. Next up, the goddess of love. Yeah, that's right. Venus. Aphrodite. The Greek. Venus in the Roman scheme of things. But Venus is retrograde right now. From May 13th to June 25th, according to cafeastrology.com. Now, it says, as the planet of love and values, Venus retrograde periods are times when we reassess what and who we value. Now, of course, this Venus retrograde period is in Gemini. Okay, so from May 13th through June 25th, Venus retrograde in the house of Gemini. Gemini, I mean, that's a wild sign to have it in, and Gemini is also being affected by Mercury retrograde as well. Gemini people, anyway, are. So let's see what else it says. This is a period that many astrologers consider inopportune for getting married or starting a new relationship. Major financial undertakings are not advised during this period either, because Venus retrograde cycles are good times for creating budgets and financial plans and for rethinking our personal relationships. Taking final action in the areas of finance and love, however, is not advised until Venus turns direct again. Like, seriously, just don't even do anything until, what did we say, June? Well, okay, the period of shadow, like the Venus shadow period, will end the 29th of July. So literally, end of July. Well, it says ends 29th. That's a shadow period. The retrograde stops June 25th. So end of July is when we should start then thinking about love and finances and moving forward again. Crazy, right? I mean, we're all on hold. We've been in this isolationship with each other. Well, no, with ourselves, right? Isolationship. We've been in isolation because of the global pandemic, and now all this astrology at the end of the 26,000 year cycle. The end of the world as we know it. But you know what? I feel fine. So, here we go. Because Venus rules beauty and aesthetics, Venus retrograde is a less than ideal time for beautification processes, like new hairdos. Yeah, don't get any cosmetic surgery at this time. No enhancements. Purchasing a new wardrobe even, yeah, you might have wardrobe fails at this time. Cosmetic surgery, I just said that, and so forth. Renovations, redecorating, and the like. Yeah, don't start renovating your house now. Because Venus is associated with social events, parties might not go as planned. Now, on the subject of love, I've been hearing this theme a lot, that past lovers might reappear. Hasn't happened in my life. Whew, thank God. But some relationships might end at this time, and don't be surprised because of what's going on in the heavens, right? So with Venus retrograde in Gemini, our need for communication and connection might be high, but frustrating. We might question the level of openness and contact and involvement that we have in our relationships. If we're not communicating with a lover in satisfying ways, it can be glaring right now. It might be really obvious. Old friends and lovers might reappear and complicate your current relationships if that's your situation. We're called upon to deal with relationship issues from the past right now because it's a Venus in retrograde cycle. Events occur that seem fated or predestined and can be a real challenge getting close to a lover during this period. Unorthodox, experimental, non-intimate relationships might actually be favored. Maybe that's why I saw a bird out there with two women. Maybe that's it. People are thruppling up, even the birds. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know what you guys do. But it's weird that I've been observing this in animals lately, right? One rooster and, a couple hens. That's weird. Because usually it's like one-on-one, right? I don't know. Maybe it's not weird. Maybe I didn't know what was going on before. I just moved here. I don't know what these roosters are up to. Some of the more challenging associations of Venus and Gemini might be particularly prominent and possibly hard to take. This includes gossip, superficiality, two-facedness. Yeah, there's that Gemini rearing its ugly face and its good face, I guess. And emotional unavailability. Those who have a Gemini strong in their charts might be more introspective at this time. They might be distant or hard to reach during the cycle. You know what? My twin flame, I have a feeling he's a Gemini. I keep getting this symbol. I just keep hearing Gemini, Gemini, Gemini everywhere lately for weeks. I think my twin is a Gemini, and he has not been communicative for 2 days. He'll talk to me for a few minutes, and then that's it, and I don't hear from him again. Of course, we're only telepathing. It's like, the mental cosmic telephone. It's not actually in real world yet, but for a while we were talking every day. Now, no, not for a while. Anyway, they might not be very favorable right now, in a very favorable light. They might have to be reconsidering their lives right now, Gemini people. Relationships are especially challenging right now. They might come to an end during the cycle, honestly. Strong relationships will survive it. There might be a few bumps and bruises along the way. It might be a good time for that eyes wide open assessment. Experimental dating, maybe. Opinions and assessments might change at a later date, of course. It's not a time when people recognize the need for another person to complete them. You complete me. Yeah. We're over that, right? That's so 3D. Some people may be questioning whether they're with partners that actually fulfill their needs, though. And that's okay. It's okay to question that. We might, however, be especially in touch with our deeper, less obvious, and less superficial needs and wants. It makes it a good time to reevaluating our relationship needs. And major love decisions, though, best saved for after June 25th, and better yet, beyond the shadow phase, which is after the 29th of July. Our perceptions might be skewed, and we could come out of the retrograde cycle with regret if we acted hastily, as the tendency to change our minds later will be stronger. Affection right now is difficult to express in a natural or spontaneous manner. We might find other people are lacking in sincerity or genuineness in their expressions of social niceties. And we might be inclined to do the same, because remember, we're all there, It's like shopping at Kmart. Don't be embarrassed if your nemesis sees you shopping at Kmart. That was a thing when I was a kid. That was like the most embarrassing place to be shopping at. I don't know why. Compared to like Neiman Marcus, I suppose. But it's like admitting you're poor, you're shopping at the cheapest possible. They're not even that cheap anymore. But when I was a kid, that was like the thing. And one day I realized, oh shit, if I'm shopping here and they're seeing me, that means they're shopping here too. You point that out to them and they're like, oh. You point one finger at somebody, there's like several fingers pointing back at you. It's like, hello, glaring much? It's so obvious, but... So people are acting in that way, irrational and jumping into things, and if they're also not really being affectionate and everything's difficult, well, maybe you are too. You know, we're all in the same boat. They're affected just as much as you are. It's not like you're experiencing Venus retrograde and they're perfectly fine. Keep that in mind with all these retrogrades we're mentioning. So on the subject of money, finances, and possessions, try to hold off on major purchases or financial decisions during the Venus retrograde cycle. So new house, new car, big ticket items, that might backfire. The car might backfire. That's hilarious. Anyway, in some manner, it might backfire, okay? So things might become money pits. Yeah, don't buy a house right now. Might cause problems for you. Might change your mind later and regret your purchase. Oh, snap. I don't want to be in this neighborhood. Oh, my God. Yeah, don't do it. Now, if you're very good at sniffing out good buys, it might be a great time to find unusual items at very low prices. People might be more willing to get rid of things, you know, that normally they wouldn't even want to part with under normal circumstances. So it might be a good time to go antiquing. Hey. I know the hippie witch of Woodstock. She's gonna be taking full advantage of this. She loves antiquing. She puts her finds on Instagram. She's phenomenal. I love this woman. Anyway, there's nothing truly to fear about Venus retrograde cycle, but it's always wise to take special care during the cycle. It's not the best period to enter new relationships because our sensors when it comes to love are not up to par. Your pickers might be broken at this time. However, it's not unheard of to begin a relationship under the influence of a retrograde Venus. It's not unheard of. And the relationship might survive or even thrive, you know, if it's meant to be. Venus rules our values. When it's retrograde, we don't seem to be so much in touch exactly with what we value or who. And we might not see things. It says some might say we see things more clearly or too clearly at this time, maybe. So after the retrograde cycle is over, we'll look back and wonder, what the hell were we thinking? So avoid major decision making in love and finances and big ticket item purchases right now, guys. So we might not be open and affectionate. When there is a breakup cycle during Venus retrograde, the breakups are not perfect breakups. They're not clean breaks. Couples and friends might reunite later, or if they stay broken up, they'll sit and wonder, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe it was hasty. Was I hasty? Was it me? Was it you? Was it you? Was it you? Ask all these questions. So, was it you? Was it me? Was it you? During the second half of the retrograde cycle, watch out for impulsiveness. There's a feeling of the inevitable during this time, and, well, past love affairs can kind of come back and might flood our consciousness right now, whatever happened in the past. Sometimes a past lover might even reappear in physical form. I mean, unless they're dead. Probably not zombies. All right, so there's more and more on this. We're gonna skip ahead to the next one because we're running out of time. All right, so I'm gonna ramp up this. I decided to cut to the chase and go to cosmopolitan.com. Okay, Cosmo Girl for Life, right? I've been reading this magazine since I was a teenager. I don't always read it, honestly, but once in a while I come across an article that I like. So all right. Taskmaster Saturn, baby. Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius. Started on May 10th and it'll go until the 29th of September. This is assessing karmic duties and responsibilities during retrograde. Now, Let's see, in life, love, and work, how's this going to affect us? Love, Cosmopolitan, they're just on the money with the fastness. It is time to own up and boss up in your life. We all need to take responsibility for all of our past mistakes. Don't pass the buck in this moment. It's right now. It's a taskmaster. This is going to assess our karmic duties and our responsibilities. In love, this is time to rethink our commitments. Are you happy with your existing relationship? Do you want to take a situationship to the next level? Chances are you do at this time. Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. Woo! Limitations in Aquarius. Wow. Work. You're experiencing a power play at work. Time to define better boundaries and create your own personal professional vision. Do you right now. I like the way Cosmo puts it. I don't know who wrote this. I'm going to try and find out the name of that person. Cosmopolitan. They rock. Okay. Jupiter is retrograde in Capricorn. In Capricorn, which is business. Jupiter, the expanding planet, retrograde in Capricorn, which is good for business, I guess. Is it, though? Expansive planet Jupiter began moving retrograde on May 14th. It's going to continue to do so till September 12th. Life. In life, it says, you're thirsting for clarity, which has you looking high and low to find out the truth of clarity. Yeah, that could be mental clarity. That's been a big one for me, at least the past couple weeks, I've noticed. Love, an optimistic vibe, allows you to open up your heart, but you have to proceed with caution. That's what this means. Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn. Work. If you don't love what you do, you might be second-guessing your career at this time. You might be looking for new things to do. Honestly, I know I am. My son is too. He's like, I'm going to make ice cream the other day. And he made ice cream and he made $10 with ice cream yesterday. That's not the full profit, but he sold 10 ice creams yesterday. Tree tomato flavor yet. All right, now the next one. Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Neptune. Elusive Neptune will be backsplashing the celestial seas from June 22nd. That's coming up to November 28th. We're in the shadow period of that right now. Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Life, reality is tough, especially when illusions are stripped away and you're forced to see people and situations as they truly are. Yeah, we read this one already, right? Love, you're learning shocking truths about others. Keep your eyes and your ears wide open. Work, you might want to change the direction of your professional goal. What you once wanted might not apply any longer. So, and they have a related story called So Neptune is Messy as fuck in astrology. There you go. Pluto is retrograde. Pluto, baby Pluto, who's suddenly a planet now? Oh yeah, right? When it goes in retrograde and it's affecting us, it's a planet. Ugh. Pluto's always been a planet. Love Pluto. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Capricorn, again at the business. From April 25th, so this one's been retrograde for a minute. Hot minute. April 25th to October 4th. Transformative Pluto brings cathartic changes our way as it moonwalks in the cosmos. There you go. Life. You'll have to face your shadow self. Shadow self, it says. Shadow self, I'm sure it means. You'll have to face your shadow side, your shadow self, over the next few months. Yeah, that's necessary at the end of an age, right? Owning up to your part in the situations. Yeah, when really bad things happen to you, you got to own up to your part of it. Maybe you planned that shit before you got here. The events of your life. I'm going to be raped on this day. Maybe. You don't, seriously, I'm not blaming the victim at all. But you got to really, really look inside yourself and check your shadow. Check your shadow. Check your shadow self before you wreck your divine self. I mean, for real, like, you got to, maybe I raped someone in a past life. Maybe I had to come, maybe I needed that because it was going to stop me from other things. Maybe I was going to get into a really bad, nasty relationship It would have ended up in my death, right? And maybe this thing happening to me, now I don't trust men for a few minutes or a few months or a few years. Maybe I avoided a whole bunch of crap that would have been worse. I don't know. It's horrible to look at it this way, but it's possible. It's very possible. Possible it's a random happening as well. But you got to really check your shadow self. You got to really delve deep. You got to try to remember. You got to ask your spiritual guidance team. Ask, the universe, hey, why did this crap happen to me? Did I play a part in this? Don't ever blame the victim, right? But did you plan this before you got here? The bad things that happened. Maybe you planned to get together with somebody who ended up being a horrible person. Maybe they were, a narcissist or a sociopath. You didn't know in the beginning, in the heat of the moment when they were hot and sexy, and beautiful and smart and sweet and had all the wonderful answers. And then you got into this horrible relationship, and you're just like playing that victim mentality, like, they did this to me, they said that, how could they do, I'm the sweetest person on earth, but how could that have happened to me? And then you realize, well, you know what, I didn't read the signs, I didn't do the research on this kind of personality type I should avoid, and I ignored that sociopathic article back in Psychology Today years ago, or whatever it is. Maybe you did ignore the signs and make excuses for them. I'm notorious for that in my past life, all my past relationships. Making excuses for the guy. No more excuses. I'm not going to do that anymore. Probably why I've been single for 3.5 years now. Now I'm holding out for the big one, the one true love. Right? So you have to face your shadow self. Over the next few months, owning up to your part in situations will be hard, especially when you think you're right. Yeah, when you think, we all like to think of ourselves as innocent, sweet little innocent victims of whatever happened to us. And we played no part at all. But reality kind of dictates that maybe we did in some situations. Not all, but some. Just be aware of it. Be aware of it. Okay, so in love, jealous thoughts and power struggles might consume your thoughts at this moment, but you're able to squash your insecurities, fears, and doubts by meditating on your true feelings. In work, who's the boss? You'll want to take the lead on a work project. Might make others feel like you're stepping on their toes. Be a team player. Start, basically play nice with others if you do work with others. That's what Pluto retrograde in Capricorn means at this time. I think we've gone through all of them. Okay, so let's see. So it's Mercury and 6 other planets. So let's see, we did Mercury. And according to, really fast, what says Mercury retrograde in Cancer, this is according to cosmopolitan.com. Communicative Mercury is lost in emotions because it's in Cancer in this retrograde. Brings the deep feels to the surface for healing, if you needed healing in a past relationship. In life, Mercury's backstroke in Cancer brings a lot of repressed emotions to the surface. You're going to be able to release what's buried. That's good. Let it flow. Let it go. Right? Love. Who do you love? The retrograde allows you to focus on how you feel about those who have a place in your heart. Work. Reassessing your sense of security during these weeks, professionally and financially. A lot of people are really assessing it. A lot of people's unemployment checks are going to stop coming. We're all, not me, but a lot of people are unemployed because of the pandemic. So Venus retrograde in Gemini, planet of love, money, and social norms, according to Cosmo. Venus went retrograde on the 13th of May and continued till June 25th, as we talked about. Questioning the roles you play in society and life, making a change in the world, more important than ever now. Time to take a stand, baby. That's why Black Lives Matter. That's happening right now. That's a life. Venus went retrograde for that. Love, shakeups and breakups, okay? We already talked about that. Might leave you scratching your head for answers and overthinking your past romance. Watch out for a text from an ex. Yeah. I like how they say it's like boom, 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 right? Work, praise that you've been hoping for might be delayed or might not be enough. Because people are not affectionate and not warm at this time. You have to speak up. Make sure you're recognized. And I think that's it. We already talked about the Saturn retrograde. So that's it. We did it. Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, and Pluto. Those are our retrograde friends. What the heck? All right, guys, I'm going to take off and take a break and eat and do Thursday's episode during the day so I don't fall asleep at night. Oh, my God. Those cosmic energies have been just flowing towards us at night, man. You know, in the early evenings. Starting about 7 or 8 o'clock is when I start to feel it lately. Especially every Wednesday for 2 weeks, maybe 3 now. It's been crazy. Every week on Wednesday, Thursday, middle of the week, midweek. It's like a midweek slag. Slug? Maybe it's slug. Maybe that's not the right word. Slag? I don't think that's the right word. It's one of them. Slump, that's the word. I'm like, is it slut? No, slump. There it is. Midweek slump. Leaves me looking like a midweek chump. I don't like that. Then I feel like a midweek lump. Anyway, guys, I love you. I love each and every one of you, and I want to thank you so much for your continued confidence and faith in my podcast, Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast, is up for People's Choice Award this year. If you want to vote for me, nominate me, that would be amazing. I'm going to tell you how, but right now, just mark your calendars for the 1st of July. We'll have it all of July. If you want to vote for me, that'd be wonderful. It'll take you less than 2 minutes, and you're doing a good deed for me, your global neighbor. So that's it. I'll be back next time. I won't say tomorrow because it's actually today. I'll be back in the next episode with all unique and original programming, just like always. But until then, I'm signing off with peace and joy and high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.